Hello, Namibia. Hello, Africa. Welcome to Africa Beyond Borders. I'm your host, Soraya Mentor, and on this show, we get to chat to amazing Africans who've traveled beyond their home countries. It is all about culture and how we carry it everywhere we go. Today's guest, all the way from Sim, living now in Germany, Tanya Master. I hope I said that right, Tanya. Hello.
Yeah, hi. It was perfect.
I got a perfect from Tanya. If not, if not. Good day, Tanya. How are you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing well, actually. I'm pretty excited to be here. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, thank you. I just mentioned to you earlier that the weather is it's a kind of a winter breeze happening here in Windhoek, and I know you're in Germany. Actually, where in Germany are you?
I am in like the east side of Germany. So I'm in, I don't know, a province called Saxony, but it's close to Dresden.
Dresden, Saxony. Whoa, never heard of those places. I'm so excited to get into it. I firstly would love to hear about where you grew up in Zim and what was that like?
Oh, wow. I really enjoyed Sim because I was born in Zimbabwe, Harare. So, like, I'm a Zim baby, but I moved to Namibia when I was around 10 years old. So, a lot of my early memories take place in Zimbabwe and, like, with my family and visiting my grandmother a lot. But then after that, I did move to Namibia and I was exposed to a lot of new cultures and new languages, and that would be as well. And yeah, man.
Oh, that sounds so awesome. Like you lived two countries, two childhoods in two countries, rather. I'd love to know what tribe are you guys from, actually, from Zim specifically?
Okay, so ethnically, it's a little bit difficult. I am of like Indian and African descent because my grandfather immigrated from India, but my mom is fully Shona. So Shona is like the major ethnic group in Zimbabwe. So I do identify more with being Shona.
Whoa, that's a whole generational line of like you combining worlds literally in one person. That's so cool to hear. And just stay in Namibia. How did
Yeah.
you find adapting to the cultures?
I think it was definitely a big shock because I was still 10 years old. And as a 10-year-old, you're not really thinking, oh, I'm moving to a new country. I should research about all of the cultures there. You sort of just arrive, and then all of a sudden, people are asking you, what tribe are you? Which is really not a question people ask in Zimbabwe because they just assume you're Shona unless you say otherwise. So it was very new for me. But then as I got to hang out with, I was lucky enough to people of all different cultures and different tribes, including like Damara people, Bambu people, Germans as well. And that was really interesting. I think it definitely shaped my ability to be able to not only integrate with different cultures, but also just listen and hear about their experiences.
Super cool. I'd like to know if you're fluent in any other languages.
I am fluent in German. I'm fluent in Shona, which is my mother
Wow.
tongue, and English. So that's three languages I'm fluent in, and I'm learning Chinese.
Oh, just on the side, like it's a side thing, like I'm learning Chinese. I would love to learn German one day. It just sounds a little bit, wow, it just sounds like a lot. But getting more into just cultures, was there ever a point growing up, because you come from a different country and you're meeting different cultures, how did you handle your, how do I say this? Well, for me personally, I was raised, my dad's from Angola and my mom's from Namibia. So I came from an Angolan household, but I had mannerisms of the Nama culture. And I had to know how to balance these two to accommodate different people. Did you also go through that?
I definitely did and still continue to go through that because I think you might know, like being a third culture kid is very difficult, especially when I moved to Namibia. I didn't have the social awareness of knowing, oh, this is in my culture, but no one here has any clue what I'm on about. So that was very difficult for me, especially adjusting to because I was raised with mannerisms, but I was also raised on a lot of English TV. So my accent was really a big point of contention when I moved to Namibia because everyone was like, you talk funny. They were like, no, something is a little off here. And I remember trying really hard to change the way I spoke and like trying to really fit in and trying to learn like slang. But a funny story is I couldn't say like nah properly. And every time I said it, I just sounded really strange. And that was really difficult for me because as much as Namibia and Zimbabwe are both in Southern Africa, they're like two completely different worlds in terms of like just the culture and the that each culture observes, like or preserves. Both of them are very important. But as a child, having to navigate that was so difficult. And I'm really grateful that I had other friends who could resonate with my experience.
Absolutely beautiful. It's such a good thing to have a community around you and boost your confidence, you know. I would want to know, did you guys ever go back to Zim as a family? Would you travel frequently, you know, between the two countries?
We did travel, like, I think once every 2 years, like here and there. And that was always a beautiful experience able to reconnect with not only my culture, but my people, because a part of it is being able to speak your own home language. And I ended up not being able to speak Shona as well, just because I was learning Afrikaans and German in school. And so
Yes.
whenever we went to Zimbabwe, I remember feeling like, wow, this is so cool. Like aspects of your culture that were mundane and that you took for granted are now like,
Yes.
oh my goodness, I can have this snack. So
The appreciation goes from 0 to 100. Every time you're back home, you're like, yes, everything just feels like home. Ah, I'd love to tap into your nursing career now. I know you're currently doing your second year in nursing school, and I just think anyone who studies in the medical field is a hero and super brave for being able to deal with so much, like even needles or like a splinter of blood. Where did your passion from nursing come from?
weirdly enough, nursing had been a passion of mine. It was more of a career option that made the most logical sense at the time. So
Okay.
my mom, I have my aunts and my cousins are all nurses, and my mom had been like, "Hey, it's a good field to get into." And I looked into it, and I think it's an important field that we definitely need because I feel like very few people are nurses or want to be nurses.
Yes.
And from that, like you can just sort of like lure someone into doing. I think it's one of the most economically stable jobs ever. So nursing is really it's emotionally challenging, physically difficult, and also mentally a lot. But I feel like there's something about that appreciation you get when you help someone. And there's just something about knowing that you can make such a positive impact on someone's life that really makes me happy at the end of the day.
Wow, you're like a walking superhero. I don't think you know this. Do you know this?
No, I don't know this. And I'm a second. My biggest fear is that and there's an emergency and everyone is like, well, you're a nursing student. You should know because, guys, I'm a second year. Maybe in my third year, you can ask me.
Is that what got you to Germany, or what actually got you to move to Germany?
So, what happened was in my 10th year of high school, so grade 10, there was a German language speaking competition because I went to a German high school in Namibia and they had a competition and I was like, oh, I know the language. And a teacher of mine actually pushed me. She was like, Tanya, I'm confident in your ability. And I was like, I barely know my articles, but sure. And we went to the competition and I ended up winning, but we couldn't go to Germany because of COVID. But you become like an alumni of the program. And as an alumni, you get like different emails about opportunities in German or conversations currently relevant in Germany. And one day there was this program that was like, oh, do a voluntary year and then start it's called an Ausbildung, but it's basically like a program. It's not really like college essentially. And I was like, oh, I'm not sure what I want to do with my life. And this was now like at the end of my high school career. So I was like, I've done grade 12. I'm not really sure which direction I want to go. So a voluntary year where I volunteer at a clinic would be a good idea. And then I sort of went through the different like departments in the clinic during my voluntary social year. And then I decided to settle on nursing.
Wow. Well, firstly, your teacher for believing in you. That the fact that it started there with someone believing in you, and now you're pursuing a whole career in a new country is super, super cool. Absolutely love it.
Yeah, I'm really grateful to all of my teachers in high school because they sort of believed in me in ways I would have never believed in myself. So had no one pushed me, I don't think I would be here today.
I think that's a great way to smooth into or move into our break, rather. We will be right back. Hello, Namibia. Hello, Africa. Welcome back to Africa Beyond Borders. I'm your host, Soraya Mentor. We get to chat to amazing Africans on this show who've traveled beyond their home countries. It is all about culture and how we carry it everywhere we go. Today's guest is Tanya Master. She is calling us from all the way from Germany. She grew up in Zim, then moved to Namibia, then traveled around Southern Africa, and now she's pursuing her second year in nursing. All the fancy things, you know. Hi, Tanya, again. I would love to tap into now culture shocks of moving to Germany. Do you remember your first 24 hours in this completely new country?
Hi. I do remember my first 24 hours because there was so much shock to back to back. And I
Wow.
remember landing in Frankfurt because I had to connect to get to where I was coming from. And I was assuming, oh, I'm still in the airport. I can still speak English. No. I went
Oh,
to a service shop to buy, I think I wanted like breakfast. And I'm like, hi, do you guys have muesli? And she's like, Entschuldigung, was? And I was like, no way.
oh,
Like I
you
remember being
landed.
like, there's no way. Exactly. I'm like, oh right. And I guess I was lucky and privileged enough to be able to speak German like beforehand, but no one ever prepares you from speaking German in your class and speaking German in real life, like in your
Wow.
everyday conversations. And then after that, I land where I'm supposed to land. I'm picked up, and he brings me to the my escort, I guess, or like mentor. He brings me to where I'm supposed to be, and my neighbor goes, "I thought we'd invite you for dinner." Major culture shock. I get inside, I'm like, oh, thank you so much. I'm acting really like, polite as one would. And then I see bread on the table and I'm like, there's no way this is dinner. I remember being like, are you joking me? Because it was a spread, it was a beautiful spread, don't get me wrong. It was a beautiful spread of like different types of bread and different types of sausage, different types of cheese, pickles. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, and so she could see from my face how unsure I was. And she's luckily been to Namibia a few times. She goes, oh, right. I should explain to you, in Germany, eat bread for dinner. And I remember being right. I'm in Germany.
Just bread with like spreads?
Yeah, it was like a spread of bread, butter, sausage, cheese, and you could so it's actually a culture here. It's called Brotkultur, which is like bread culture. And they set the table really elegantly, and you sort of serve yourself however you like. So you get your whatever type of bread you like, whatever type of butter you're feeling, and it's a thing here.
I'm curious to know, what drink do you have to accompany the bread spread?
Honestly, whatever drink is offered to you at the house. So if they have like juice, they'll typically ask you, what do you prefer to drink? And there's a specific type of, my favorite German type of drink is called a Schorle, which means they mix fruit juice with sparkling water or regular water, but that sort of tempers down the sweetness. So I usually have with my bread.
Wow. Okay, so I thought the Nama culture was very passionate about bread. Clearly not. Because for dinner, wow, that sounds very, very interesting to hear. Thank you for remembering your first 24 hours. Getting there, was there ever another culture shock, as you experienced more days in Germany?
There were many culture shocks. I think the three that were really like hard hitting for me was just the impact that geography plays in within Germany, and then also the music, and specifically like the emphasis on individualism in Germany. So all of those were very different to what I expected.
I loved your last point that you tapped into it. Did you see yourself in a different perspective now that you were in a new country?
I definitely did because in Namibia, I guess I sort of was like tempering down my identity, my weirdness rather. And when I moved here, I would get so many comments on stuff I have never thought about in my life. So a lot of people here will comment on my hair. So even when your braids look crusty, dusty, musty, like you need a braid refresh, people will come up to you and be like, "Oh my goodness, I love your hair. It's so unique." And I'm like, "Thank you."
Wow, look at you blossoming in Germany.
Yeah.
I'm so interested to hear into the music side. What type of music did you find yourself grooving to?
So, interestingly enough, German music is very like vast and diverse, like more so than you would think, because Germany is known for like Schlager, which is like the pop hits, right? But the pop hits are what we would stereotypically listen to and be like, this is not really as exciting as you guys are making it out to be. And so I remember when I moved here and we had a campfire during my social year, and everyone was playing like these classics and songs everyone knows. And I remember sitting there, like, guys, there's no way this is as exciting as you guys are making it out to be. And for a while, that really put me off German music. Like for a long time, I was like, no, I'd rather not. Until I started talking to the right people. And once you speak to the correct people, you will find the really good like bands and artists. So typically right now I lean towards German indie music and also German hip hop rap, which are two very different scenes, but they both have musicians and artists that I feel like could only ever exist in a German context.
Tanya, I loved how you tapped into and said, if you know the right people. What was it like meeting new people and forming friendships? How was that process for you?
It was really difficult, I must say, because I work in nursing and I did my social in a clinic. A lot of my colleagues were way older than me. So we're talking
Oh,
people
okay.
in their 40s, people who have families. And that, and also specifically because I live in a village, like in the east side of Germany, you don't have many young people, much less many young foreign young people. And I remember feeling very, very lonely my first year. I think that's something no one ever tells you, but anytime you move to a new country, you have like this time period where you don't know anyone and you're not sure where to go to meet anyone. And because of the lack of third spaces nowadays, it's hard to just hang out because you're no longer going to school and you can't really meet people accidentally. And then I met someone at work actually. She was doing a practical, my now best friend, and we spoke really randomly. And at first I remember being like really scared to like speak to her. And then she goes, "Wait, do you have an accent?" I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "I'm from England." And I go, "Oh, cool. So we can speak English." And we started speaking English with each other, and then we went to our first concert together, and that I think really tightened our bond. And outside from that, there were a lot of people that I met really randomly, like really sporadically, and I would have never thought that I would be close to these people, but they really helped me not feel as lonely, and really lovely knowing that I have people I can depend on even though I'm so far away from my family.
Wow. I absolutely love that. And forming a new friendship. That was so sweet. And you both like accents. Ah, we both can speak English. And then a friendship grew from there. I'd love to hear about your journey now moving to Germany. What was it like doing accommodation, sorting out your medical things? What was the paperwork like?
The paperwork nightmare. Germans themselves joke about how like bureaucracy in Germany has gone off the wall, and it's really true. I was fortunate enough that because of the type of program I entered, my social year was largely like my employer was largely responsible for my accommodation and making sure I had a place to stay. But then other stuff like medical care, for example, I had never navigated that by myself in English. Now I had to navigate a completely different system in a completely different language.
Yeah.
And here, they don't care. They don't play about their medical care. So if you don't have insurance, that's illegal. And trying to look up how to do it, and a lot of it was just having to ask my colleagues because at the time I didn't have many close friends. So my colleagues would tell me, this is how you set up your post box so that you get all of the mail you need to. This is how you sort out your medical care. You go to a doctor and then you need to ask them to sign with them if they have a free place so that you always have a house doctor. And accommodation, luckily, is close to my workplace, which is of like the program I entered. They care for your accommodation for your first few years. So I was really grateful for that. But then stuff like transport and everything, I had to ask my school, or the people I had applied with, hey, how do I get this? Like, what's the smartest plan? And a lot of it took so much research. It was such a headache. And Germans love paperwork. Well, they don't love it, but they rely so heavily on paperwork that you spend, like, setting up your bank, you get like a thick file of like 3 pages that you need to read through and sign. So it's really complicated.
Wow. This is a mouthful. Like, I just absorbed so much information, and you handled that with your friends guiding you. I need friends like that. I mean, I do have friends like that, but geez, so technical, so much admin. Absolutely a lot, but absolutely, kudos on you for being able to push through it. Me, personally, if I were to move to Germany tomorrow, what advice would you give me?
Oh, okay. If you were to move to Germany tomorrow, I would mostly have 4 tips that are basically based around preparation and research. So, research where you're going, because your experience in Germany can be so vastly different depending on whether you're in the east, the west, in a big city or a small city. So do your research. Prepare your language skills, prepare your papers, and just all of the stuff like with a bank and medical stuff. I could have prevented so much confusion if I just did my research the day before. And I guess the other thing is spend some time with your family before you leave, because video calls, as much as cool as they are, they can't make up for seeing your family like every day, knowing your sister is right next door. And the most important one is to pack some snacks, because you can buy box braids online. You cannot buy cheaper online.
I like that a lot. You cannot buy cheaper online. I will take those 4 points and I'll take it to my heart. Thank you so much for that advice. Tanya, it was lovely chatting with you on Africa Beyond Borders. Thank you so much for your time. To all our viewers watching, thank you for joining us on this episode of Africa Beyond Borders. Catch us next week, Monday at 8:30 p.m. on DSTV, Channel 285, GoTV, Channel 25, and oneup2.com. See you guys.